But we'll head into the next part of tonight's transfer show in regards to the Premier League. Very fastly moving, quickly developing, mate. You've got a couple of great statistics up with some of these players anyway, mate. But I'm interested to see what you mentioned about Barry. We're going to be mentioning Everton's new striker anyway. So we're heading to obviously the first one, obviously Elanga. Over the last 24 hours, it's been more or less confirmed that is 52 million plus 3 million in add-ons deal to Newcastle United. The medical has already been agreed, and it's be stated as Newcastle's first summer signing. Medical needs to be passed, and obviously Callum Wilson has just recently left as well, mate. A very talented player, Lewis, and I think certainly you look at obviously the links over the last couple of weeks with Liverpool wanting and every Liverpool fan wants Isaac. Can we get that deal over the line? But I think, are they spending the Isaac money, or he's a very talented player, Elanga, mate? And do you think that's a fair deal and a player that can very much propel Newcastle on this season?
I think the game's gone. Look, Elanga's talented. We can't deny that. But how much? 55 million?
Yeah, ridiculous.
Like, Torres was 50 in 2011, and we were like, oh my God, that's never going to get, like, that's ridiculous. Yeah. It's Anthony Elanga, man. Like, he's a good player for Forest, and this is Newcastle, who they've got terrific attackers, but there's a striking lack of depth where, you know, you've got Harvey Barnes, Gordon, you've got Jacob Murphy, who had a terrific season last year, but isn't good enough really, and then Isak, and you've just lost Wilson. So they need depth, and Elanga, if as a rotation option, absolutely is top quality. Like, he is a very, very good player for Nottingham Forest. He caused us headaches last season. Obviously, you know, contributed in that defeat at Anfield. But 55 million, like,
madness.
Come on now. I understand the age we're living in where players can fetch ridiculous price tags, but if you're Newcastle, is there no better option? Could you have not got Malik Fofana for a cheaper option? You know, considering everything that's going on at the moment with Leon, could you have not picked out a Bakayoko maybe from PSV? Maybe it's a certain style. Maybe they want Premier League proven. I don't know, but he's not a bad player. But I just think for 55 million pounds, you need to be getting someone who's. Oh, is it someone top tier? I don't know. I don't know anymore.
Yeah, I personally wouldn't say he's top tiered as well.
No, he's definitely not tier. Neither StreamYard, by the way. StreamYard, you're struggling here today. I'm not going to lie to you. But no, let me know in the comments. Like, does anyone think that Elanga's worth 55 million? Because I'm not. I was just saying StreamYard's not top tier, mate. It's not worth 50 million.
I think StreamYard might be a Forest fan or something. I don't know, or whatever. Elanga's agent, because we're speaking about him anyway. But yeah, I quickly summarise before I get boosted anyway. But yeah, I concur with you, mate. I think the modern market, it's all guns blazing really on there's no real value on players nowadays. Apart from when Liverpool do business in the transfer market and we sign Andy Robbo basically on a free and certain other players coming in as well. So yeah. So in terms of obviously Arsenal as well, Lewis, in terms of obviously Sporting Lisbon striker Viktor Gyökeres, the player's been linked with a move to Arsenal, obviously scoring 97 goals in 2 years in Sporting. Obviously, let's bear in mind 19 of them were penalties, 39 goals. 39 goals as well in the Premier League, not Premier League, in European football.
Yeah.
Thoughts on him, mate? Can he be Arsenal's saviour next season to finish in second again?
I mean, look, if you're talking about numbers, fine. I think he's a very, very good player in that regard. But like you said, how many of them were penalties? 19 were penalties in the end?
I think it was 19 on some of the notes as well. Yeah,
come on now.
Crazy.
So I've got, this is his stats based on the last 365 days, and this is across Europe's top 5 competitions, as well as the Champions League, the Europa League, everything. Don't forget he plays in the Portuguese league. Like, in terms of his actual shooting, he's in the top 5% for goals. He gets 0.89 a match, which is absolutely fine. He's in the top 2% for XG, for goals. He's also in the top 6% for his pass completion. Like, he is a good player. He is someone who can pick up the ball and score, but he's also someone who can come deep and create. And I think that's what they wanted with Kai Havertz. They wanted that sort of false nine who's capable of scoring a goal. They didn't get it. Gyökeres is not a bad player. That just needs to be. We saw what he did at Coventry. He's proven that he's capable of competing on the English landscape. He's someone who clearly has an eye for goal. Even if you take the penalties away, that's more goals than, 75, 80, 90% of the Premier League. It is just purely his speed. And like someone said, he turns like an oil tanker. He is someone that you can rely on to pick a pass. You can rely on to have a shot at goal. But he needs to be quick. He needs to move quick. And in terms of his actual, progressive play, I'm trying to find this progressive passes received because he's fairly low down in that. If I can find it, that'd be
it's going to be
no, tell a lie.
Yeah, I was going to say, mate, you've cried out for a striker, I think, and you look at this and you analyse it. If he does come in, Arteta's got no more excuses now, for me personally.
No,
he would have had the striker, he would have had the centre halves, or the many centre halves, and defenders. Arteta loves to sign for Arsenal. And obviously last season through Marino up front anyway, and obviously just signed Zupimendi as well. So no more excuse for me. Have you found those stats? No.
Yeah, I mean, this you've got. So in terms of passes received, in terms of progressive passes received, in the top 3%. So he's someone who likes to get in behind. The issue is, he's in the worst 4% for being dispossessed, and he's in the bottom 29% for miscontrols with the ball. So he's great at running in behind. He's great at coming deep and receiving it. He's great at making things happen. He's just, when he's on the ball, he's crap. Can't think of the word, so I'm just going to say crap. He gets tackled. He gets dispossessed. He's not the best on the ball in terms of his ability. It's his actual movement. It's his terms of passing and shooting. He's great. But is that what Arsenal need? The way they play, it feels like they need someone who's capable of running in behind, and I don't know. It doesn't feel like it fits. I don't know if they're in panic mode. I don't know, because I know Sesko was being linked, but again, he's just another big target man. I don't know what the plan is. I don't know what the system is. Gyökeres is not a bad player. We've seen that, but it does feel like Arsenal are just in a scramble right now to sign any striker they possibly can. And Gyökeres is the one who, he said no to United. Sesko doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Isak's too expensive. Osimhen's probably going Juventus or maybe Galatasaray again. Let's just get Gyökeres. It's someone. But like you said, there's no excuse. But I guarantee now, if it goes to hell, Arteta will be coming out in a year or two's time going, yeah, we didn't want Gyökeres. He was never our man. There will just be excuse on excuse on excuse. And I just don't see this one working personally, to be honest.
Yeah, it's going to be one of them. Reds, let us know, or just if you're a fan of the Premier League or whatever as well. It looks like, obviously this report as well, with Viktor Gyökeres, he's putting up 2 million of his own wages as well to help Arsenal in terms of this, which is ridiculous.
Mate, it's if any player's having to contribute to get their transfer, he does know he's going to Arsenal. Surely, if you're Gyökeres and you're thinking, I'm going to have to pay 2 million to move here, you do know where you're going. Surely, they've won one trophy since 2019. Don't be putting your own money up for that. Yeah,
so 2 million, it's ridiculous anyway, mate. He'll somehow receive that back in the goal bonuses anyway. And anyone's just tuned in and wondering where I keep on disappearing to, it's StreamYards. So I do apologise. Absolute nightmare. Certainly won't be using StreamYards again. We'll be using something else anyway. But yeah, Reds, let us know your thoughts on that. As you can, as Evo said there, you can hit the ball anyway. But yeah, yes. You've been Jay. How are we, buds? As well. So another Arsenal player that they've been linked with over the last week or so as well. Lewis was obviously Brentford's captain. Looks like that deal might be getting over the line. Arsenal and Brentford exchanged all documents. This comes from Fabrizio today. Over the last week with Christian Nørgaard, the second part of the medical is also completed. The contract signed and the official statement to follow in the next day or so. quite old, isn't he now? He's in the
31.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. We've seen Granit Xhaka at Arsenal. We've seen, obviously, him leave Arsenal. I look at this deal, and I think it's a very shrewd deal, if I'm being honest. I know we've mentioned, obviously, the numerous defenders Arteta signed, but I think this is a very clever signing. Do I think it will be revolutionary to this Arsenal side? I don't feel so. But I just look, and when we've all analysed that Brentford side, he's been alongside Thomas Frank, leading that Brentford side in the Premier League, punching above their weight, might that be said. But when you come into Arsenal, Norgaard, I think he's the right character. He's got the right quality as well. He's not the answer to Arsenal, but I personally feel he might be a good step in the right direction for Arsenal. What's your feeling in regards to this deal, Christian Nørgaard?
I understand why Arsenal fans are a little bit sceptical, I suppose is the right word, because he, like you say, he's 31. He is starting to wind down a little bit. But I think in terms of an actual signing, I think it's a good one. I do think that Christian Nørgaard is a decent signing for Arsenal. And that's not me taking the piss. That's not me saying it in a sort of, oh, he's old, Arsenal laugh at them, blah, blah, blah. This is someone who, they've just lost Jorginho. Obviously, all the Thomas Partey stuff's coming out, which we're not even going to touch on. They've got Zubimendi, they've got Marino, and then you've got Declan Rice. Ødegaard's a bit further up top. Norgaard is someone who you can bring on and he can be your Wataru Endo, so to speak. He's someone who you can bring on if you need experience and just grind a match out. And in terms of the Premier League last season, this is his defensive stats. He's getting 1.56 interceptions, which is the top 8% in the Premier League last season. He's making 1.66 blocks, which is the top 16%. Passes blocked is in the top 35%. Dribblers tackled, top 13%. He's such a good defensive option to bring on. And I think Arsenal, having lost so many midfielders in such a short space of time, they could go out and sign someone who could develop into the proven product. I think they've sort of done that with Zubimendi a little bit. Or you can bring someone in for a shrewd price, who's got Premier League experience, is a leader, is someone who you can grind out games, is capable on the ball, is a good defensive option, and can help bring up the next lads that you bring in. He's a good stopgap option to have. And we've had that in the past with players. We've had that with James Milner when we lost Gerrard. We brought Milner in. He was the sort of, right, we're going to keep you here. Next summer's when we're going to go for the likes of Fabinho and Keita and things like that. He is a proper closer when your game is coming to an end. He's someone who you can grind out a match. And I think that Arsenal fans are jumping the gun because to them it's, oh, well, we want to push for the Premier League. We want to sign young, talented, exciting players. You need these people. You need the Michael Thomases. You need the James Milners. You need the Mark Walters. You need the Steve Finnans. These players who can grind out a match. Gary McAllister, someone's commented, perfect example. 35 years old and he was still ripping up trees for us back when he was in 2000. Norgaard's a good signing, and I will not hear the Arsenal fans who are crying and moaning because they haven't gone out and signed Jude Bellingham or Tchouaméni. It's a good deal. Yeah,
spot on, mate. We grew up watching Thierry Henry and the legends as well, and especially still does me head in the way in which Arsene Wenger was chased out of that football club, and being honest, but that's another show for another podcast anyway. But yeah, Arsenal fans, you'll never make them happy anyway. So moving on from Arsenal, there's been a transfer report over the last 24 hours in regards to the blue side of Merseyside. Barry obviously is travelling to Merseyside as Everton look to complete the move for Villarreal striker. Barry has been on holiday in Miami following his participation in the under-21 Euros with France, but has now been permitted to travel to England to undergo a medical examination. The fee is expected to be the initial 32.5 million euros plus bonuses for the French forward. I'm going to be honest, Lewis, but you've got all the data and the stats as well. It's interesting, especially with the loss of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Everton. Yeah.
Calvert-Lewin's a weird one. By the way, he's meant to be going United. You're in the bin. Just get a grip of yourselves, United. Thierno Barry is a very... There we go. I dragged out that sentence as long as I could.
As I say, what we all thought, fill everyone in terms of the forwards as well, mate. Yeah.
God, this is the me waffling episode. I love it. So do you know earlier on we touched on Everton? You were like, oh yeah, do you know Everton style of football? They need that big, tall player up top.
Yeah.
Thierno Barry's 6'5".
Oh wow.
He is a big bastard. He's someone who's going to replace the aerial threat of Calvert-Lewin. I say threat, you know what I mean. But he's a very big lump of a player, but he's also very quick. He is a very fast player up top. In La Liga last season, so this is across La Liga 24-25. Aerially, if I can just find it 1 second, he won 67.3% of his aerial duels last season, which is in the top 2% of La Liga. He won 3.84 a match and lost 1.86, so he's competing for about 6.6 per game. He is a proper target man up top, but he's also someone who, when he gets the ball, he's capable of controlling it. He's capable of slowing play down and progress it on for other players. The only issue you've got with him is his actual passing is pretty poor. So in terms of his overall passes completed, he's in the bottom 4% of La Liga, and this is just across strikers. This isn't across every position. Passes into the final third, he only gets 0.54 per match in the bottom 22%. Progressive passes 1.05. He's in the bottom 22%. He's just someone who's a big lump up top. But saying that, he went out last season and he scored 11 goals and got 4 assists in 35 matches, which isn't bad. And I think that's an Everton standard player. So he's definitely someone who's going to be a nightmare in the air, like we saw with Beto when we played them at Goodison Park last season. Maybe he's going to be that style, but he feels David Moyes to me. This feels like a David Moyes sign, and more so than anything.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And do apologise everyone tuning in again. Obviously, the audio listeners, if you're still listening, I got booted. I've been booted about 1 million times anyway in StreamYard. So do apologise, Lewis.
We will sort this.
It'll be sorted for the next episodes anyway. But I'd agree, mate. Some interesting stats. I think, as Chat already alluded to, Beto. Obviously, Everton have drastically improved since David Moyes. Well, it's not like it could have got any worse with the previous managers anyway. I think going back to back and speaking to a couple of my Everton mates, they've been over the moon as well. But I think it will be interesting, Lewis, in chat. I think in terms of with Barry coming in.
Look, Everton now are in a position whereby they need depth up top. Calvert-Lewin, losing him, I think it's a weird one. It makes sense losing Calvert-Lewin. It does, because he's been poor for a good few seasons. We haven't really seen a good quality Calvert-Lewin since Ancelotti, maybe. So I understand the logic of getting rid of him. And Lukaku, I think if you're looking...
Yeah.
What was that, sorry?
Was it Lukaku as well in his Everton days? I do apologise. I've missed the last 10 seconds of what you said.
I was saying Calvert-Lewin. Like it makes sense for him to. It does make sense for him to leave now. I just think Everton, the way that Moyes operates, they just need that big target man up front. Does that mean they're going to bring in someone on the wings with a bit more speed and pace, like they have done in the past? Maybe, because I just, it's a very. The way the club operates and the way that they play on the pitch, because NDI has obviously got that really bad injury when a few months ago. They're going to have to bring in more depth. But it's not a bad option. 35 million, was it around about?
Yeah, 32 million euros plus bonuses as well.
It's not bad.
Euros as well. So at the end of the day, new stadium as well, mate. But I think it's like with Everton. I think they've not got a lot of money, obviously with the financial constraints. But I think any money they do spend, it needs to be spot on. And I think time will tell, as we've already said. So quickly move on to the next and the final, obviously Premier League. A little bit of news as well in terms of transfers. Obviously, Chelsea have been monitoring Ethan Nwaneri's situation at Arsenal. Chelsea have been trying to sign him in his previous deal back in 2023. There's also now, with just 1 year left on that contract, we've talked over an extension yet to bear fruits for the forwards as well. Arsenal are optimistic at this moment in time that the deal will be reached. Chelsea are and obviously that's coming from The Athletic as well. And obviously Chelsea, and goes on to it in the same article from The Athletic, go on to add Chelsea also admires of Aston Villa's Morgan Rogers as well. But Nwaneri, Lewis, obviously a very talented young player coming through at Arsenal, obviously similar with, I'd say, the situation Liverpool have with Elliott and Salah. When you've got Saka up front for Arsenal, it's extremely difficult for him to break into that Arsenal side. And a player as young as Nwaneri is, he needs to be playing football. Do you think this is the right deal for him, possibly going to Chelsea? Or
I mean, it's more of a basket case at Chelsea than it is Arsenal.
Yeah, and
they've just signed Delap. I mean, but then again, I suppose if Madueke is going the other way, there's always that chance of game time. And we've seen Cole Palmer now has become the standard of what happens when you leave a big club, go to another team, go out on your own and exceed. Yeah. So maybe that's on his mind. Nwaneri, though, there's a talent there. He's 18 years old last season. And the thing about him as well, he got 4 goals in the Premier League last season, which isn't, exceptional. But you've got to consider he scored against Forest, he scored against Brighton, he scored against City, he scored against Ipswich. They're big games to be scoring in. He also scored twice in the Champions League, back-to-back matches. PSV, I think, was one, and Girona, I want to say. Can't remember off the top of my head. There's a good player there. If he's not feeling like he's going to get the game time, which a lot of young attackers seem to have at Arsenal, Nketiah was another one, Reece Nelson, Chuba Akpom, Yaya Sanogo. There's been a long history of Arsenal players who are young lads who are given all this promise and hype of you're going to be a first teamer. Maybe he doesn't see it. Maybe he's not happy at Arsenal. Maybe, like you said, Bukayo Saka's there. He's having to wait till other players are injured. Going to Chelsea is an odd one, but you're going to get game time because they've shown that they're not afraid to play the youngsters. There's a lot of different options that he could play in. The way that Maresca operates, maybe he needs him on the left, maybe he needs him on the right. Delap and João Pedro in the middle probably nullifies any chance of you playing there, but Madueke is potentially leaving. Obviously, Sterling's going to be... there's a lot of positions opening up out wide, so maybe it does work for him. Does anyone think that Nwaneri saying go to Chelsea, is that the right move for him? Or would you be trying to move to a bit of a lower down sort of opposition, maybe at Crystal Palace or so? Maybe there's another team that you consider him going to. I just think if you're going Chelsea... it can go one or two ways. It's either going to be knocked out the park or he's going to struggle. And I think he may... There's a talent player that I think he'll go on to ski. He's only 18. Let's not forget.
So, plenty of time to develop, mate. As you alluded to, Chelsea, one of the youngest sides, if not the youngest in the Premier League as well. And the fact that Maresca, somehow, as you said, it was a bit of a circus prior to him coming into the football club. Sackings of the board and changing managers. And obviously, literally, you could field about 5 start 11s, as we know anyway, selling hotels and selling whatever Todd Bowley wants, playing a formation of 5-7-7 or whatever he wants to play as well. So it's but yeah, it's going to be one of them Reds. Will Nwaneri go to Chelsea? Time will tell as well. But it's usually a very, as Lewis has said, a very talented player anyway, and wherever he goes, I think the main thing for him is he gets game time as well. But